Bezel space, the final frontier. The Galaxy S7 took us to the edge, and now the S8 takes us to infinity and beyond. The Galaxy S8 in Orchid Gray versus the S7 Edge in White Pearl. I didn't choose the S8 Plus, which is the successor in the model lineup, because the regular S8 is actually closer in size to the S7 Edge. I won't be discussing Bixby. It seems like a really good technology, so better to wait until it's more developed, perhaps later in 2017. Alright, let's get started. The first thing you'll notice is the missing home button. The screen now takes over that spot, resulting in a very tall display with an aspect ratio of 18.5 by 9. The fingerprint sensor has been placed right next to the camera on the back, perhaps not the best location for usability. The rest of the overall design is very similar, with the S8 upgrading to the USB-C port. The S8 is now completely symmetrical between the front and back. The S7 is more curved on the front side and flatter on the back. So this results in the S8 having a shorter edge display versus the S7. You can see this with the edge ruler here. This is probably why they don't use the word edge in their marketing material and simply refer to the infinity display. The S8 cramps 3K resolution into the same display area as the S7 Edge. It also supports the DCI P3 color gamut used in 4K TVs using something called Deep Red OLED. So let's do some pixel peeping and take a look at the actual pixels. Here we see the S7 Diamond Pentile Matrix, now the S8, which does show deeper red and more well-defined pixels. And for reference, the iPhone 7's very color-accurate striped matrix pixels. So one thing you'll notice about the display is that the corners are rounded. I wasn't sure how this would work out, but it's not an issue since the top is taken up by the system info and the bottom contains the navigation buttons. The taller Infinity display allows for greater data density. You'll be able to see on average one more row of data than you would in the S7. Here's some sample sites. When watching video, there's a feature to expand the full width of the display, including the curved edges. But you do lose parts of the top and bottom of the video, so it'll depend on what you're watching whether it makes sense to use it or not. There's been some criticism about the small 3000 mAh battery in the S8, so let's see how it performs with the YouTube streaming test. The S7 did a respectable 8 hours and 52 minutes. The S8 lasted a whopping 11 hours and 48 minutes, almost 3 hours longer. I guess the battery capacity is just fine. I ran the YouTube test again using the lower resolution settings. The S7 definitely benefits from running the display at lower resolutions. You gain almost an hour. With the S8, there was not much of a difference, gaining only 12 minutes. So how does the S8 perform? Let's start with Geekbench 4. The single-core performance got a minor improvement, but multi-core gets a big boost, around 20%, and the GPU performance has almost doubled. An excellent task to stress the system is a 4K video export. I cut the first minute of the video and moved it to the back and dropped in a 30-second title. So we'll use PowerDirector, a popular video editor for Android, and export this edited 4K video. The S8 blows the S7 away with an incredible 2-minute 39-second performance. The S7 finishes 54 seconds later. I did several runs and the results were consistent. To answer why the S8 was so much faster, we can look to subsystems like the internal storage and RAM. The S8 has a desktop class 585 megabytes per second read and a respectable 219 megabytes per second write. That's almost 300 megabytes per second faster read speed compared to the S7. The RAM in the S8 is also much faster, around 62%. The camera modules have been upgraded, although the specs for the main camera is the same. There's actually not a great improvement, although there is some. In this 100% cropped photo, you can see the S8 resolves details a bit better on the roof and has less noise in the darker window areas. Next, let's look at the video crop to photo ratio. It's the exact same in both cameras, not too badly cropped in from the sides considering stabilization is on. This is 1080p. However, in the S8, there is stabilization available for 4K video, which is not available in the S7. But strangely, the video crop is much wider than the 1080p version, so that's a nice little bonus. The big upgrade is in the front-facing camera. The field of view has been narrowed and the resolution bumped up to 8 megapixels from 5 in the S7. The following images were all taken 1 foot away. Even taking out the extra resolution factor, the S8 produces sharper images with more detail. So now let's look at the pictures taken by the front and rear cameras together. You'll immediately notice the field of view of the front and rear cams in the S8 are very close. In contrast, the S7 has a very wide front-facing camera. I'm glad they decided to narrow the field of view in the S8 since sometimes a wide angle in the S7 distorted images. Audio has gotten a big upgrade in the S8 and is nipping at the heels of the iPhone and LG phones for sound quality output. But what about input? To test this, I recorded a passage that I read at the same time with both phones and a Zoom H1 recorder. I'll start with an H1 playback for reference. People were pleased to find that Peter Piper had picked a couple pages for Fable fans at MSR. People were pleased to find that Peter Piper had picked a couple pages for Fable fans at MSR. People were pleased to find that Peter Piper had picked a couple pages for Fable fans at MSR. Thankful that this was Thursday the 30th, the Piper anticipated form fun and a wonderful weekend of recording. The Piper anticipated form fun and a wonderful weekend of recording. The S8 has dramatically better audio, both in clarity and input level. It's pretty much on par with a dedicated recorder, the H1. So you could actually use the S8 as a voiceover mic. Going into this comparison, I wasn't expecting the S8 to have so many improvements above the obvious ones, like the bigger display and the faster processor. The audio system has gotten a huge upgrade. The front camera has been vastly improved and the rear camera has a really nice stabilized 4K mode that's hardly cropped. Battery life is also very solid and according to Samsung will retain its charge longer over the years, giving the phone a longer lifespan. So if these improvements are important to you, then you'll definitely want to get the S8.